And that's what 6-7 really means.
And now we know, and knowing is half the battle. Welcome, everybody, back to another exciting episode of Undisrupted Live. That's right, Season 10 live. We're coming to you live from Nicegate, and we're going to get to our guest in just a second. But Adam, opening debate.
Yeah.
Thinking back to when you were in school, you hear this a lot. You know, it's like, what is that skill? When am I ever going to need this? What is that? How are you making me do this activity? When am I ever going to use this? What's a skill or something that you did in school way back then? You felt like, I'll never use this. But now you use it, or you've used it recently.
Oh, gosh. That's kind of challenging to think about. Like, you know what? I did some renovations in my home, and I was trying to figure out like how much flooring I was going to need. And then it was like one of those moments where I was like, oh, finding an area of a room. Then I told my son, I was like, come here, let's do this. Something that you can do in school. This is actually a real world application of it. But I have never used the Pythagorean theorem that I know of.
You don't bust it out every now and then?
No,
I feel like I use it every day.
That's one of those things.
Me and Pythagoras are like this. We're tight. Yeah, that's interesting. I was thinking, for me, I think I've shared this on the show before, but when I went to college, I was studying to be an engineer, and then I realized that was just not my vocation or direction at all. So I switched to the most opposite thing I could, which was drama. And my dad was like, you just wasted a year of your college because you'll never be, I have a voice made for podcasting, as I'm on this podcast right now. And I was like, no, I actually, later in life, stage presence, working with an audience, engaging an audience, just learning how to breathe correctly, how to project your voice.
Yeah.
All of those things were, kind of nestled in there. I think about Steve Jobs saying remember when he took all those classes that he was supposed to be in, and all those things became embedded in Apple later. It's like, you never know it until you look back and reflect. Yeah. And speaking of looking back and reflecting, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined today by Dr. Matthew Friedman. He's the superintendent of schools in Pennsylvania, Quakertown.
Say correct.
Yes, the suspense is killing.
It was the suspenseful answer.
He was also thinking about what his thing is now. He's like, yeah, so superintendent.
Something witty.
So before we get to your backstory, tell us, you had to answer that you're part of the debate. What was something, again, thinking back to your childhood and upbringing, like, was there a thing that you're like, oh, but now I use this now, but I didn't use it like that?
This sounds like the worst cop-out, but I like both of your answers.
I
know. Real original. But we're in the process of building a new elementary school in my district. It's exciting, and it doesn't look like any other building in our district, and we are actually tearing down our original high school, which is an elementary school, and it's 98 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so a lot of history, beautiful building, but just time for change. And Adam, it's funny that you said about area of room, and because we're in the process of designing all the rooms right now, and I'm really thinking about things on a different level. I did not use the Pythagorean theorem.
No,
I did not.
Well, was the room not a triangle? If the room was a triangle, you'd be in big trouble for using Pythagoras.
But I will tell you that I wish I would have taken drama classes in college, because I originally thought at one time maybe I'm going to go into politics, but hey, I'm there now as a school superintendent.
I think you are in politics, sir.
I think it's all political.
Yes. How much do you use acting in your everyday? No, don't answer that. We'll go ahead and say plausible deniability on that. So tell us a little bit. Give us a little background about your school, and then also I'd love to hear what you shared today. We're at a tech and learning event that's prior to Nicegate for those of you who are listening to this later. And so tell us a little bit about your background, your school, and then also kind of what you shared today.
Absolutely. So once again, I'm Dr. Matthew Friedman. I'm the proud superintendent of the Quakertown Community School District. We're about 40 miles north of Philadelphia.
Go Birds.
In southeast.
Sorry. Every time I hear the word, I have to say it.
Second time today.
Yes.
So we're about 40 miles north of Philly, and we're a suburban district, K-12 district, 8 buildings, about 5,000 students.
Okay.
We are probably a middle-class socioeconomic community. I love the diversity in our community, and we are white collar, blue collar, but the name in our title, community, really epitomizes what I love about the district the most. I mean, it is such a tight-knit community. Generations have gone there, and so it makes me proud to wake up every day and lead that district and really move us forward to bigger and better. And so I was very blessed to walk into that about 3 years ago at this point.
And one of the things you got to do today was stand up in front of a group of 65 other technology and educational leaders and share a little bit about work. And we talk about Future Ready, which is, of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
a proud sponsor and the originator of this podcast, All for Ed. Yes, that's right. Go check them out, allfored.org. And then you're talking about RASIC a little bit and kind of explain it. So much so that, by the way, it affected our ending of the day. We actually pulled in some of Matt's presentation to help us kind of guide our ending activity. But tell us a little bit about what you're sharing today.
Yeah. By the way, that was pretty awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that was
You
awesome.
said that because he's sitting right next to you. He's in between us. He better say that. Yeah.
Well, so we use the RIASEC framework, which was a framework developed in the late 50s by an American psychologist, John Holland. We really use it, as I mentioned today in presentation. We've taken a dialogic approach to career language integration. We want common career language going on in our classrooms, K through 12. And it's important that it's not a curriculum, it's not scripted. There are very loose guardrails, and the overarching objective is that K to 12 teachers, grade level teachers, content area teachers, no matter what classroom, we are embedding career conversations in all the work that we do. So students can really start to self-identify their strengths and their interests. And, I've heard some powerful commentary over the years from a lot of students from a lot of different levels about how when they take ownership of their strengths and their interests and don't take the recommendations of their parents and their counselors or their teachers alone, they start to self-select things that truly interest them and that are passionate about.
Yeah. And I think that was one of the things, Adam, I don't know if you got to see something, you think you came
Yeah.
in right after that. But one of the things that drew to me was that you said that awareness is such a powerful thing, like you were just saying, like just having the awareness of like having that as a regular part of conversation. I see it with my own kids personally when we really get into it, they really lean into the topic of where you're going. Not necessarily
Yeah.
like, oh, where you're going to go to college, not the typical stuff, more of like, what are you passionate about? What do you want to do? And what if you could have that passion and turn it into a career, what would that look like? And then of course backing it up and saying, okay, now what are the steps that you need to take? Because it's not just like I wish I was a marine biologist. Like,
Yeah.
how do you become that?
All right. I mean, you're having different conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, the teachers have told me unsolicited that this is the first time in their careers they feel like they truly know their students.
Mhm.
It was more surface level conversations before, but now when you start to look at and identify your RIASEC themes, and teachers look at students and they have similar letters, and then they have those conversations, or you're flexibly grouping students based off of their RISEC strengths.
Mm.
Pretty powerful stuff. So when you see students start to take ownership and they truly have a voice in the pathways that they are choosing and the interests that they have in school, um, it's you're looking at school in a totally different way. And we often talk about shifting that paradigm from from teacher centered to student centered,
Right.
but this takes it to another level. That's when students are self-identifying what they're interested in and what their strengths are, you can now you're when you talk about collaborating and critically thinking and all the skills that we
Mhm.
constantly talk about in school that we desire to have, you're able to use that as a driver and a foundational piece.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like, making the students a part of that whole process. Cause as I think back of myself when I was a high school student, I did well in school, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do or be. And it really hit me when it was time to fill out that college application.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, hey, what do you want to major in? Making good grades. Like, I mean, that's
Right.
what I was already doing. So let me ask you this: like, as you've been doing this process, how have you seen like the conversations change within the families about what comes next for students?
Great question. I was actually going to say this to you guys. One of the biggest pieces, I think it's a huge connector to parents and community businesses um, in the areas that we service. And the conversations change, so we have had some professional development and some nights with parents. We're going to embed some days into the school year where we have student showcases in the spring and we have career days in the fall. But in the parents that I've talked to, in the groups that we've met with, I mean, there have been some parents legitimately not joking around saying, I might need to reevaluate my career and what I'm doing.
That's when you
Yeah.
know you have effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and our school board's been actively involved. And when everyone identifies the letters that are their strengths and you have that common language, that's where it's powerful, because that's the through line and the common thread that is connecting all the internal and external stakeholders. So you have one common language. And the thing that I touched on today, it's not some unique thing to Quakertown, which makes it exciting. A lot of higher ed has built it into their program of studies. So it's a common language in higher ed. And it's also a common language with the government ONET, the federal government ONET, the job database. So these are places that we have commonality. So Quakertown is just embedding that K to 12 and exposing students to those themes like we would anything else inside the classroom.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask you to put on your wizard's hat and crystal ball and like kind of predict some stuff here. So like, right now we see change happening at the federal level. We're seeing the Department of Ed basically being shuttered and different departments going under other areas. We're seeing the Department of Labor taking a larger role in K-12 now. Where do you see school districts needing to move to, I guess, adhere to this new norm as we're seeing these changes in a focus on the workforce? We're seeing through the AI initiative, it's a focus on workforce in those spaces. So, like, how do you think schools should kind of districts should start positioning themselves to support their students to get them there?
I mean, well, I'm sitting next to two gentlemen that are so forward thinking here. I mean, so look, I think we all say the same thing in different ways, that um, we can't play school the way we've done it for
Yeah.
the past 100+ years.
Yeah, we
And
still do though.
and we do,
I
we do,
know, and
we
it's like,
do.
but you've continued with your answer, but I also thinking like you've somehow figured out a way to break some of that cycle too. And people that listen to the show are
Mhm.
probably thinking like, oh, that sounds great, but I'll never get
But
a chance to do you.
Well,
But
but
yeah,
it's comfort. It's
sure,
comfort and the security of we're still living through generations that went through school that way,
yeah.
where the adult
yeah,
was in front of the room and people were compliant in rows of desks and they were memorizing knowledge
Mhm.
and putting it back on a one size fits all
yeah,
test. So the outliers, and this is what I'm always fascinated about as a public school superintendent. I remind people that charter and cyber and all these different alternative schools came about because of people's disenchantment with
absolutely,
public
yep,
schools.
yeah,
So I said, I don't take offense to them. I think at least for me as a leader, it challenges me to really think outside the box to meet the needs of all of our learners K to 12, because it never has been up to the adult to look at students in a room, and the adult is the sole decider of what they feel is the best way students should learn. I mean, that's why we talk about amplifying student voice all
Yep.
the time. So if you understand, go back to the RIASEC themes, if you understand someone is social or realistic or investigative or artistic, well, if you have voice and choice inside of a classroom
Mhm.
and you can play to those themes, so it's not about memorization, it's about mastery of content. It's about transfer of knowledge. I mean, these are simple foundational things that are not so simple to the masses. But, you know, I love, and to this day, even though I've heard it 10 billion times, I still love the analogy of school districts are like a cruise ship turning in the
yeah,
water.
it's true.
You want to go that way, but it takes
It's gonna go
forever
out
Yeah.
wide. Yeah,
to get there. So we have these conversations. We're making these changes. We're embedding a common language across all classrooms, but we have to continue to have everyone working together so that the tide rises together.
Yeah.
Um, but it's always the traditional bell curve. You have your high flyers, you have your people that are going to move along, and then you're going to have the ones that you need to
the
move along.
laggards that we call them. Yeah, yeah.
So I think that it's an exhausting job, but it is such a amazing job. I mean, I truly wake up every day and I feel blessed that I'm able to be a school superintendent and in Quakertown because they've embraced that
Yeah.
change. So,
We need innovative and great leaders right now because we're seeing a lot of folks leaving the profession and doing different
Right.
they
things.
do,
And
they do.
so thank you for what you do. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
But if you ask the kids, if you ask the kids, that they'll tell you they learn in different ways, you know.
Yeah.
So you still have some that will say to you, look, I just want to get the information
Hmm.
and get through the day. Others will say, I want to work with other people. Others want to work independently and do projects and different things. That's why the whole idea of voice and choice and, you know, the dreaded word of differentiation. Everyone differentiates, but do we truly
Do we
differentiate
truly? Right.
and meet the needs of everyone?
I think that's one of the, I mean, not that the pandemic is ever positive, but I think a positive outcome of the pandemic was we realized that kids learn differently. I mean, we knew that before, but then we started seeing, oh, you learn better with some asynchronous instruction. You learn better with direct instruction. You learn better online. You learn better in person or a hybrid version of that. And
I,
then
yeah,
what can we take from that to build on, right?
it's fine. You know, when I think back to the pandemic, and I think I have 3 children, I have,
Say, oh, we all do.
Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. So,
We're outnumbered.
no, and I was laughing because someone told me the other day, I didn't even realize it here. I'm dad of the year here because I didn't realize I have one in high school, one in middle school, one in elementary. I have all 3 levels
Oh,
I
yeah.
did that
covered.
last year. I did
Yeah.
that. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So, but
Bless your heart, as
I
we say in
think back to
Texas.
the pandemic. I think back to the pandemic, and I don't know why this one lesson stands out to me, but my oldest was learning about kind of elementary school, like geometry and shapes. And she had to walk around the neighborhood and take pictures of things that were different shapes,
Nice.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
But like to me, even though that's pretty simple in nature, that is outside the box, real
Yeah.
world connections.
Taking a moment, it's like, oh, shapes all around us.
Right.
Geometry is really in the real world. Going back to our
Exactly.
opening debate,
Exactly.
like when am I going to use this every day? You know, geometry
But
keeps this building up.
but I say that to you guys because it's something so simple
Yeah.
that we're so beholden to the resources that we purchase. You know, it's like the holy grail. We have to
You
hold
have
on
to.
to it.
Yeah.
And you know, I've always felt that if I came in and took all the resources away, good teaching and learning should be happening every day. Because I mean, if you have state standards
Mhm.
and those are your guide, you know, the resources are only truly meant to supplement. They're not supposed to be the guide.
And we saw that when AWS servers went down. Send the kids home. We can't do it. I'm like, yes, we
Exactly.
just came from like analog to digital recently, I feel like, but maybe
Oh, yeah.
maybe it's so embedded now that yeah.
Yeah, every tech director knows that. We're like, when the internet goes down, people are like, oh, can't teach.
Yeah. That's the day you oh, it's still recording. That's the day you're like, no, I don't want that anymore. Yeah. Well, we always like to ask folks on our show, like, what's something, our show's called Undisrupted. And a big part of that is like, your face, and especially as a superintendent, I'm sure you have a lot of things that are thrown at you that kind of just like, affect your headspace, right? Your mental energy and your emotional energy. What are some things you do privately, personally, to kind of keep yourself undisrupted as a leader of schools?
So, you know, it's interesting. And some people cringe when I say that I live 45, 50 minutes away from work. But,
Hmm.
you know, to me, um,
Drive time.
that is the drive time.
Okay.
As crazy as that sounds, that is one way that I can unplug and unwind a little bit.
So you're audio booking it? Are you doing soundtrack to your life? Like what's going, is there music that picks you up? Or is there times where you're like, oh, I want to listen to this podcast? Got disrupted. Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a given right
Yeah.
there.
We just listen to sounds of the 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it all depends on the day. I mean, sometimes, and I love live music, and I love, you know, and I love going to concerts, and I have
So
for
expensive
many,
now,
many
though.
years. So
Yes, I love
it's
it.
outrageous.
Yes.
It's outrageous. But sometimes silence is golden as well, you know, and just
That is key.
driving and
Somebody said that once.
reflecting and so I mean I know that might be simplistic, but I don't think people realize uh, I am the biggest hypocrite when I tell everyone at work that they need a work-life balance, and the only one I think that really doesn't do it is myself.
Yeah.
Yes, same.
And so what I give at work, I'm not giving at home, and I need to balance that. And but times in the car that I can unwind, relax, and get a good headspace. So when I walk in the door, I can be a husband, I can be a father, and that's just as important. Because if you're not those things, you're not doing those well, you're not going to be successful at work either. Or if you don't have that balance one way or another, something's going to suffer at some point. So,
yeah, because in our roles, a lot of people are counting on us. And so thank you for getting your headspace right and being there for all the students in your district and being there for your family because they need you. We need you out there doing the work that you're doing. So once again, thanks for all the hard work that you're doing.
I miss the days of going to see live music. Like, not a care in the world. You get this
$10, you walk in, you stumble around the field somewhere and listen to some band play. But yeah, it's
so my band has always been Pearl Jam.
Sorry, that was a lyric. You just didn't.
So, yeah, an exciting moment for me. I've seen them probably over 70 times.
This is the answer to your question. I always ask people, like, what's the band you spent the most money on? Meaning tickets, swag,
hands down,
hands down.
Yeah. And so the funny part is a friend of mine that I grew up with that played Major League Baseball, through many twists and turns in life, is best friends with Eddie Vedder. So I've had the pleasure of hanging out with Eddie Vedder multiple times.
And his name is Barry Bonds?
No, it is not. Sean Casey, the mayor.
Yeah. Sean Casey.
Yes. But I took my 8-year-old, to a Pearl Jam concert last year. So he loved it. He loved it.
You hook him with the live music. I think they make him listen to it, and they're like, no. But if it's their idea, somewhat, they tie it.
And it's funny. My daughters just went to their first concert with my wife, and they went to see Billie Eilish.
Yes, I've seen Billie a couple times.
Yes.
Yeah. The kids like the Billie.
Yeah. My kids are all into K-pop right now.
I need a second job, Carl.
I mean, to pay for the concert.
Yes, that's what I mean. I was like, there's a lot of zeros on that.
Volunteer, you volunteer to be security. And aren't you a superintendent? Yeah, I'm also security. I'm going to watch this band right now.
And I drive Uber.
Yeah.
So, on a side note, they called me afterwards. She played for not even 90 minutes with no encore.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen her at ACL Fest, but she only does like a 60 to 75 minute set there because it's a festival with lots of bands.
Right.
So not a full. She's got a lot of music. I'm surprised, but kids today.
I get 3 encores of Pearl Jam, by the way.
I mean, Eddie, you have to kick him off stage because he'll start talking and going. Well, thank you so much. Where can people find out more about you and your district and the great work you're doing?
District on socials. Facebook, Instagram, X,
Twix, Twitter,
yeah,
Sky.
All the same for myself as well. So
at
M Friedman PGH.
Okay.
PGH is
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, born and raised. So that's my X profile. Matthew Friedman on LinkedIn and on Facebook as well. So
awesome. Thank you so much for being here. He's Adam, by the way.
Yeah.
Speaking of Adam, you can find him on the Twitters and the X and the Instagrams at AskAdam3.
And he's Carl, and you can follow him at Hooker Tech.
Hooker Tech, question mark. It doesn't have a question mark. Sorry.
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, we are better together.
And we are better
Undisrupted.